For centuries they told you, be a good girl, be sweet, be silent, be agreeable. But tell me, has good ever made anyone great? Has silence ever changed the world? If you keep pleasing the world, who will please your soul? Girls, stop being good. Start being bold. A good girl follows the rules. A bold woman writes her own. A good girl waits for permission. A bold woman creates her own way. A good girl fears rejection. A bold woman embraces it as fuel for her fire. Girls, listen carefully. Being good is the oldest trap ever created. They conditioned you to shrink so that others could shine. They trained you to say yes when your soul was screaming no. They taught you that approval is more important than ambition. Enough, that time is over. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. There will be moments in life when your heart pounds, your hands tremble, and your throat tightens with the weight of words you are afraid to say. But listen to me, say them anyway. Because the truth locked inside you is more dangerous than the fear that holds it back. How many times have you swallowed your words just to keep the peace? How many times have you smiled when you wanted to scream, nodded when you wanted to shake your head, and agreed when every fiber of your being resisted? This is the silent suffering of those who fear speaking their truth. But what has silence ever given you? It has only caged your spirit and handed over your power to others. Imagine a girl sitting in a meeting, bursting with ideas, but she holds back because she fears sounding foolish. Then, minutes later, someone else voices the same thought, and suddenly, it's a brilliant idea. She watches as the moment that could have been hers slips away. This is what happens when you silence yourself. You hand over your opportunities to someone who dares to speak. Think of a woman in a toxic relationship, enduring disrespect because she is afraid to speak up. Every time she wants to say, I deserve better, fear whispers, what if you end up alone? But isn't she already alone in that silence? Isn't she already suffering? The truth may be painful, but silence is unbearable. And the day she finally speaks, I will not tolerate this anymore, her entire world shifts. Because the moment she values her voice, the world learns to value her too. The power of truth is life-changing. It's like the first breath of fresh air after being trapped in a suffocating room. But yes, the first time you speak, your voice may shake. The words may stutter. You may feel the heat of embarrassment or the weight of judgment. But let me tell you something. The bravest voices in history have trembled before they roared. Think of Rosa Parks, a woman who refused to give up her seat. Do you think she wasn't afraid? Do you think her heart wasn't racing? But she spoke. She stood her ground. And because of that, she shook the entire world. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who was told that girls should not be educated. She had every reason to stay silent, to avoid danger. But she refused. She spoke, she fought, and now her voice has given millions of girls the right to learn. Closer to home, think of your own life. Think of every moment you wanted to tell someone, I love you, but fear held you back. Every time you wanted to say, I need help, but pride silenced you. Every time you wanted to say, this is not okay, but you worried about how people would react. How many moments, how many opportunities, how many relationships have been lost because words were left unsaid? But here's the truth, your voice is the key to your freedom. It is the weapon that cuts through injustice, the light that reveals who you truly are. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. So start small. Speak up in conversations, express your thoughts, even if they are unpopular. Stand up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Say no when you mean no, and yes when you mean yes. Because the world doesn't need another person who blends in. It needs someone who dares to be real. And if your voice shakes, let it shake. Let your hands tremble. Let your heart beat thunder in your chest. But speak anyway, because there is nothing more powerful than a person who refuses to be silenced. The world is shaped by those who dare to speak their truth. So, will you? Never apologize for your ambition. There will be people who tell you that you are too much, too driven, too focused, too hungry for success. They will try to soften your fire, dim your light, and make you believe that ambition is a flaw instead of the force that moves mountains. But hear me loud and clear. Never apologize for wanting more. From the moment you start dreaming bigger than the world expects, society will try to put you back in a box. They will whisper, "Why can't you just be satisfied?" They will call you greedy for wanting success. They will say you are selfish for prioritizing your goals. They will try to convince you that ambition is a dangerous thing for a woman. But look around. Everything great in this world was built by someone who refused to settle. Every empire, every movement, every revolution was led by someone who had the audacity to dream beyond the limits placed on them. Do you think Oprah got to where she is by being content with what she had? Do you think Serena Williams became a champion by playing it safe? Do you think any powerful woman you admire got there by apologizing for wanting more? No. They fought for it. They owned it. They walked into rooms where they were not welcomed and made themselves impossible to ignore. Yet, the world still has a habit of making ambitious women feel guilty. If a man is ambitious, he is called a leader. If a woman is ambitious, she is called too much. If a man is assertive, he is admired. If a woman is assertive, she is intimidating. If a man sacrifices for his career, he is dedicated. If a woman does the same, she is selfish. Think about it. How many times have you downplayed your goals just to make someone else comfortable? How many times have you pretended to be less excited about your achievements because you didn't want to come off as bragging? How many times have you put yourself second because you were afraid of being labeled as too career-driven? Now imagine a different reality. Imagine never shrinking your dreams for someone else's approval. Imagine walking into every room knowing that your ambition is not a burden, but a gift. Imagine chasing success without guilt, without hesitation, without feeling the need to explain yourself. This is your life, your vision, your destiny. You do not owe anyone an explanation for wanting more. You do not have to apologize for choosing to build your empire instead of fitting into someone else's idea of what your life should be. The people who truly support you will celebrate your ambition, not shame you for it. The ones who try to make you feel guilty are the ones who fear what you are capable of. And that is their problem, not yours. Ambition is what separates those who settle from those who create. Ambition is what turns dreams into reality. It is what builds legacies, what transforms lives, what changes the course of history. So if anyone ever tells you that you are too ambitious, look them straight in the eye and say, "Thank you," because that means you are on the right path. That means you are making waves. That means you are stepping into the power that was always meant for you. Never apologize for your ambition. Own it. Chase it. Let it make you unstoppable. Say no without guilt. There is a power in the word no. A power that many people, especially women, have been conditioned to fear. From childhood, we are taught to be agreeable, to be accommodating, to say yes even when we want to say no. We are trained to believe that denying someone else's request makes us selfish, rude, or unkind. But let me tell you something. Saying no is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-respect. How many times have you said yes just to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you stretched yourself too thin, doing things you did not want to do simply because you were afraid of seeming unkind? How many times have you smiled and nodded while every part of your soul screamed for you to walk away? We have been conditioned to believe that saying no makes us bad people. But the truth is, saying yes when you want to say no does not make you kind. It makes you a prisoner. A prisoner to other people's expectations. A prisoner to guilt. A prisoner to the fear of rejection. Think about a woman who is drowning in responsibilities at work. Yet, when her boss asks her to take on another project, she automatically says yes, even though she knows she doesn't have the time. She sacrifices her well-being, her peace of mind, and her personal life just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. And what happens? The workload increases, the stress piles up. And the worst part, no one even realizes the weight she is carrying. Because she never said no. Or imagine a friend who constantly drains your energy, always taking, never giving. Every time they call, you drop everything to be there for them, even when it exhausts you. One day, you think about saying no, but then the guilt creeps in. What if they think I'm a bad friend? So once again you say yes, even when it costs you your peace. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you prioritized yourself? We live in a world that teaches us to be available to everyone except ourselves. But the truth is, you are not obligated to be everything for everyone. You are not a machine that exists to please, to serve, to accommodate. You are a human being with your own needs, your own limits, and your own boundaries. And those boundaries deserve to be honored. Saying no does not make you unkind. It does not make you selfish. It does not make you less of a good friend, a good daughter, a good partner, or a good colleague. Saying no simply means you respect yourself enough to choose what is right for you. And here's something even more powerful. The more you say no to things that drain you, the more energy you have to say yes to the things that truly matter. When you say no to toxic relationships, you make space for healthier connections. When you say no to overworking yourself, you create room for rest and self-care. When you say no to distractions, you allow yourself to focus on your true goals. Look at the strongest people you admire. They are not the ones who say yes to everything. They are the ones who set clear boundaries. They are the ones who know their worth and refuse to let guilt manipulate them into overextending themselves. So the next time you feel the weight of guilt pressing on you, remember this. Your time, your energy, and your peace of mind are precious. They do not belong to just anyone who demands them. And if someone gets upset because you said no, that is their problem, not yours. People who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. People who don't, they were never worth your yes in the first place. So say no without guilt. Say it boldly. Say it with confidence. Say it knowing that you are choosing yourself. And that is the most powerful choice you will ever make. Make choices that serve your growth, not others' expectations. Your life is yours to live. Yet, how many times have you made decisions based on what others expect from you rather than what you truly desire? How many times have you shaped your dreams, your career, your relationships, and even your personality to fit into a mold that was never meant for you? It happens so often that people don't even realize they are doing it. We are born free. But from the moment we start understanding the world, society begins placing expectations on us. Parents expect one thing, teachers expect another, friends, culture, traditions, and even strangers all have their own ideas of who we should be. And slowly we start making choices not for our own growth, not for our own happiness, but to keep everyone else happy. A woman who dreams of becoming an artist ends up in a corporate job because her family believes art is just a hobby, not a career. She tells herself, it's fine. I learned to love this path. But deep down, a part of her feels like it's suffocating. Every day she wonders, what if I had chosen differently? A girl in a relationship feels pressured to settle down because everyone around her is getting married. She isn't ready, but the world keeps telling her, you're getting older, it's time. So she ignores her intuition, says yes, and spends years wondering why happiness still feels so distant. A man loves music, but is told it's not a real job. So he buries his passion and follows a path that makes his parents proud but leaves him empty. Years later, he watches someone else live his dream and asks himself, why did I let them decide my future? This is what happens when we let expectations control us. We become visitors in our own lives. We follow a script that was never written for us. We silence the voice inside us that knows what we truly want. But tell me, who is going to live with the consequences of your choices? The people who pressured you? The ones who told you what you should do? No, you are the one who has to wake up every morning and live that life. So shouldn't you be the one making the decisions? Growth does not come from pleasing others. Growth comes from choosing yourself, from making bold choices that align with your dreams, even if they make others uncomfortable. It comes from stepping away from paths that don't serve you, no matter how many people expect you to stay. It is not selfish to choose a life that makes you happy. It is not selfish to follow a dream that others don't understand. It is not selfish to make decisions that serve your future instead of someone else's comfort. In fact, it is the greatest act of self-respect. The people who truly love you will want to see you fulfilled, not just obedient. The ones who try to control your choices They are not thinking about your happiness. They are thinking about their own expectation. And expectations are not a reason to sacrifice your life. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the way you choose to grow. If quitting a job that drains you is what you need, do it. If walking away from relationships that limit you is necessary, walk. If following your passion means disappointing a few people, let them be disappointed. Because at the end of the day, this is your journey, your path, your future, and you deserve to live it in a way that sets your soul on fire. Take risks without seeking approval. If you wait for permission to chase your dreams, you will wait forever. If you seek approval before taking risks, you will spend your whole life standing at the edge, never jumping, never flying, never truly living. The truth is, the greatest things in life are built by those who dared to step into the unknown, without asking for validation, without waiting for someone else to say, yes, go ahead. Because if you live your life based on whether others approve of your choices, you are not really living. You are just following a script that was never written for you. Think about how many times you have held yourself back because you were afraid of what people would say. How many times you had an idea, a dream, a passion burning inside you, but before you could even take the first step, your mind filled with doubts. Will they support me? What if they think I'm crazy? What if I fail and they laugh at me? A woman wants to quit her job and start her own business, but instead of trusting her gut, she asks everyone around her for advice. Half the people tell her it's too risky. Some tell her she's being unrealistic. A few remind her of all the ways she could fail, and so she buries her dream. Years later, she watches someone else succeed in the very thing she wanted to do, and she realizes the only thing that stopped her was waiting for permission to believe in herself. A young man has an idea for a book. He tells a few friends, but they don't take him seriously. You, a writer, come on. He lets their words sink into his mind, and instead of writing, he convinces himself it was a foolish idea. He never picks up the pen again. But what if he had ignored them? What if he had taken the risk not caring what they thought? Maybe today his book would be in the hands of millions. This is what happens when you seek approval before taking risks. You allow other people's fears, doubts, and limitations to become your own. But no one else has to live with your regrets. Only you do. The people who hesitate, who tell you to play it safe, are usually the ones who never took risks themselves. They don't want you to step out of your comfort zone because they never stepped out of theirs. But do you really want to shape your life based on the fears of others? Every great success story is a story of someone who took a risk despite the doubts, despite the critics, despite the fear. Do you think Elon Musk asked for permission before building Tesla? Do you think Beyoncé asked the world if it was okay for her to dominate the music industry? Do you think Oprah waited for approval before creating her empire? No, they took risks. They bet on themselves. And that's exactly what you need to do. Stop waiting for everyone to understand your vision. Stop looking around for a nod of approval before you take the leap. The only approval you need is your own. The world belongs to those who are bold enough to act. So take the risk. Step into the unknown. Trust yourself enough to go after what you want, even if no one else sees the vision yet. One day they will, and when they do, they will wish they had believed in you the way you believed in yourself. Own your body, your desires, and your identity. From the moment you are born, the world begins to place labels on you. It tells you how to dress, how to behave, what to desire, and even what kind of person you should be. It teaches you to shrink yourself to fit expectations, to mold your identity into something digestible for others, and to ignore your own wants and needs in order to avoid judgment. But let me tell you something. You do not belong to the world's opinions. You belong to yourself. Your body is yours, not society's, not a magazine cover's definition of perfection, not an object to be judged, criticized, or controlled. Every curve, every scar, every inch of your skin carries the story of your existence, and you do not need permission to embrace it. How many people spend their entire lives hating the very vessel that carries them through life, simply because someone else told them they should? A woman stands in front of a mirror, picking herself apart, comparing her body to an unrealistic beauty standard. She hides behind baggy clothes, refuses to take pictures, and constantly apologizes for the way she looks. But what if she decided to stop apologizing? What if she decided to love herself not in spite of her imperfections, but because of them? The moment you stop seeking validation for your body is the moment you reclaim it as your own. And your desires, your passions, your ambitions, your wants are not shameful. How many times have you held back from going after something you truly wanted because you were afraid of what people would think? How many times have you been told that your desires are too much, too bold, too different? Women especially are conditioned to suppress what they truly want. They are taught to be nice, to be agreeable, to not be too ambitious, to not ask for too much. A girl who dreams of traveling the world is told, "That's not practical. Settle down and get a normal job." A woman who knows she doesn't want children is told, "You'll change your mind." A young professional who wants to negotiate a higher salary is told, "You should just be grateful for what you have." Do you see the pattern? Every time you try to own your desires, the world tries to silence you. But the only person who has to live with the consequences of suppressing your dreams is you. And then there's your identity, the essence of who you are. People will try to define you based on their own limited understanding. They will put you into boxes, categories, and expectations that make sense to them. But you're not here to be easily understood. You are here to be fully yourself. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Are they the ones who fit in, or are they the ones who dared to be different? The ones who embrace their quirks, their uniqueness, their truth without apologizing for it. Those are the people who change the world, not because they waited for permission, but because they had the courage to own themselves completely. So own your body, love it, move it, celebrate it. Own your desires, chase them, speak them, never shrink them. Own your identity, define it for yourself, and never let anyone tell you who you should be. Because at the end of the day, the greatest power you will ever hold is the power to be unapologetically you. Embrace fear as your greatest teacher, fear. The invisible force that holds so many people back from living the life they truly desire. The voice in the back of your mind that whispers, "What if you fail?" The sinking feeling in your stomach that stops you from taking a risk, speaking your truth, or stepping into the unknown. Fear is often seen as the enemy, something to be avoided, something to run away from. But what if I told you that fear is not your enemy at all? What if fear is your greatest teacher, the one force in your life that is constantly pushing you toward growth? Think about the moments in your life when you have been most afraid. Maybe it was the time you had to make a decision that could change everything. Maybe it was standing up for yourself when everyone expected you to stay silent. Maybe it was walking away from something familiar, knowing that comfort is not the same as happiness. Every time you have felt fear, it was not because you were weak. It was because you were standing at the edge of something greater. A woman dreams of starting her own business. She has the skills, the passion, the vision, but every time she thinks about taking the leap, fear grips her. What if I fail? What if people don't support me? What if I'm not good enough? She lets the fear consume her, and so she waits. And waits. And waits. Years go by, and one day she realizes that the only thing standing between her and her dream was fear. A young girl is offered an opportunity to move to another city for a job she has always wanted, but she hesitates. What if I don't make friends? What if I'm not capable? What if I miss home too much? The fear of change, of the unknown, keeps her stuck in a life that no longer excites her. A man is in a toxic relationship. He knows it's destroying his spirit, but he is afraid of being alone. What if I never find someone else? What if leaving is a mistake? And so he stays. Not because he is happy, but because fear tells him it's safer to stay miserable than to step into the unknown. Do you see the pattern? Fear is always there when you stand on the edge of something new, something bold, something that demands your courage. But what most people don't realize is that fear is a signal. It's not telling you to run away, it's telling you that this is exactly where you need to be. Fear is like fire. It can either burn you or forge you into something stronger. It can either keep you stuck or teach you how to move. The difference lies in how you choose to face it. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, see it as a doorway. Every time you feel afraid, ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? Fear teaches you that discomfort is where growth happens. Fear teaches you that taking risks is the only way to truly live. Fear teaches you that the biggest regrets in life come from the chances you didn't take, not the ones you did. If you wait for fear to disappear before you take action, you will wait forever. Fear doesn't vanish. You simply learn to walk with it. You learn to hear the voice of doubt but not obey it. You learn to feel the fear and move forward anyway. So embrace fear. Thank it for showing up. Let it be the fire that fuels you, not the cage that traps you. Because on the other side of fear is everything you have ever wanted, waiting for you to be bold enough to claim it. Never be defined by others' labels. From the moment you take your first breath, the world starts putting labels on you. They call you by your gender, your race, your family background, your social status. They tell you what you can and cannot do based on these labels. They decide your worth before you even understand who you are. And most people spend their whole lives living within the limits of these labels, never questioning them, never realizing that who you are is not for the world to define, it is for you to create. Think about how often you've been told who you should be. You're too young to do that. You're a woman, so you should behave this way. You're from this background, so you should lower your expectations. You don't fit into this mold, so you won't be accepted. These are not just words, these are cages. Cages that keep people trapped in identities that don't belong to them. Cages that force them to live lives they never chose. And the worst part? Most people believe these labels. They accept them without question, and in doing so they lose themselves. A girl grows up hearing that she is too quiet to be successful, so she shrinks herself, believing that only loud, extroverted people can lead. But what if she had refused that label? What if she had realized that her quiet nature was not a weakness, but a strength? What if she had embraced the power of observation, deep thinking, and speaking only when necessary? Maybe she would have become one of the greatest minds of her time. A boy is told he is not smart enough because he struggles in school. So he stops trying, convinced that he will never amount to anything. But intelligence is not just measured in grades. It is in creativity, resilience, and the ability to think differently. If he had rejected that label, if he had believed in himself despite what others said, maybe he would have gone on to build something extraordinary. A woman is labeled as too ambitious, as if having dreams is something to be ashamed of. She is told to tone it down, to not intimidate others, to be more agreeable. But if she had let that label define her, she would have never broken barriers, never pursued her purpose, never become the force she was meant to be. Do you see how dangerous labels are? They are not just words, they are invisible chains that keep people from becoming who they were born to be. But here's the truth. Labels only have power if you accept them. Imagine if every successful person had let labels define them. If Oprah had believed she was just a poor girl who wouldn't make it. If Einstein had accepted the label of slow learner. If every groundbreaking woman in history had let society tell her that she wasn't capable. The world would have lost some of its greatest minds, all because of meaningless labels. You are not here to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You are not here to make yourself smaller so that others feel comfortable. You are here to create your own identity, to break the rules that don't serve you, to define yourself on your own terms. So the next time someone tries to put a label on you, remember this: you do not belong in a box. Tear off the labels, reject the limitations, be too bold, too different, too much, because the only definition of you that matters is the one you choose for yourself. Turn rejection into redirection. Rejection feels like you are not enough, like you have failed, like life is punishing you. Rejection feels like your birth, like your word, like your dreams and your redirection. Rejection feels like you're not enough, like you have failed, like life is punishing you, and like you are not enough, like you have failed, like life is punishing you. But what if rejection isn't the end? What if rejection is actually life's way of redirecting you to something far greater than what you were asking for? Think about it. Every time you have been rejected, something else has come along in its place. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way you expected, but always in a way that made sense later. The problem is, most people don't see it that way. They take rejection personally. They see it as proof that they are not worthy, that they should give up, that they are not good enough. And in doing so, they miss the lesson that rejection is trying to teach them. A woman applies for her dream job. She prepares, she gives her best in the interview, and she walks out feeling confident. But then the email comes. We regret to inform you. She is crushed. She wonders if she will ever be good enough. But what she doesn't know is that 6 months later, a better opportunity, one she never even considered, will come knocking. And it will change her life forever. The rejection was never about her being unworthy. It was life saying, not this one, I have something better for you. A man falls in love. He gives his heart, his time, his energy, but one day, the person he loves walks away. He's shattered. He wonders if he wasn't lovable enough, if he could have done more. But what he doesn't realize is that this rejection is making space for someone who will love him in a way he has never known before. The pain feels unbearable now, but it is simply redirection in disguise. Rejection is not failure. Rejection is life's way of removing what is not meant for you, what is too small for you, what is not aligned with your purpose. But most people fight against it. They beg to be let in through doors that were meant to be closed. They cry over lost opportunities that were never supposed to be theirs. They stay stuck in pain instead of moving forward in trust. Think of a river. When it meets an obstacle, it does not stop. It does not sit there, questioning why the rock is in its way. It simply flows around it, finding a new path, always moving forward. That is how you must see rejection. It is not a dead end. It is simply a detour leading you to something greater. Every rejection carries a lesson. Maybe you weren't meant to be in that relationship because it was limiting your growth. Maybe you didn't get that job because your true purpose lies elsewhere. Maybe that opportunity slipped away because life had something far more powerful in store for you. But you will never see it if you sit in your sorrow. If you waste time thinking about what could have been instead of what could be. If you let rejection break you instead of shape you. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who never face rejection. They are the ones who refuse to let rejection define them. They take the lessons, they trust the redirection, and they move forward with even greater determination. So the next time life closes a door in your face, don't waste your time knocking. Walk away with your head held high, knowing that something better is waiting for you. Because rejection is never the end, it is always a new beginning in disguise. Remember, the world respects confidence, not compliance. From the moment you step into this world, society starts training you to comply. Be polite. Don't speak too loudly. Follow the rules. Don't make people uncomfortable. Don't challenge authority. Stay within the lines. Blend in. Be agreeable. And so you shrink yourself. You lower your voice when you want to shout. You say yes when your soul screams no. You force a smile when you feel like walking away. You choose silence over confrontation, not because you are at peace, but because you are afraid of upsetting others. You become the person the world wants you to be instead of the person you were born to be. And what happens? Do people admire you for it? Do they reward you for being nice, for being obedient, for being compliant? No, because the world does not respect those who follow. It respects those who lead. It does not respect those who surrender their power. It respects those who own it. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who stand out, the ones who change the game. Are they the ones who blend in, who nod their heads in agreement even when they disagree, who follow the crowd without question? No. They are the ones who dare to speak, dare to challenge, dare to be bold. They are the ones who refuse to be anything other than their true selves. Confidence commands respect, not arrogance, not ego, but true confidence. The kind that comes from knowing your worth, standing in your truth, and refusing to be controlled by the expectations of others. Imagine two people walk into a room. One is hesitant, unsure, looking for approval in the eyes of others. The other walks in with certainty, unshaken, unapologetic in their presence. Who do people notice? Who do they listen to? It's never the one who is merely agreeable, it's always the one who owns their space. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be loud, aggressive, or dominant. Confidence is not about volume, it's about energy. It's about how you carry yourself, how you believe in yourself, how you refuse to let anyone define you. A woman sits in a meeting, afraid to voice her ideas because she doesn't want to seem difficult. So she stays silent, even when she has a brilliant idea. The meeting ends and no one notices her. Another woman in the same situation speaks up. She shares her thoughts boldly without waiting for permission. Maybe some people disagree. Maybe not everyone likes her opinion. But one thing is certain. They will remember her. A man is given advice he knows is wrong, but he doesn't want to argue, so he follows it blindly. He blends in. Another man, facing the same situation, questions it. He challenges it, not disrespectfully, but with confidence. He makes people think. Even if they resist at first, they will respect him for standing his ground. People admire those who are authentic, not those who are agreeable. They trust those who believe in themselves, not those who seek constant validation. The world does not reward compliance. It rewards courage. It rewards those who are willing to stand alone if necessary, those who can say no without fear, those who refuse to bow to expectations that don't align with their truth. So if you find yourself hesitating, waiting for permission to be who you are, stop. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. The moment you start owning your voice, your presence, your power, the world will take notice, because people don't remember the ones who fit in. They remember the ones who stand out. And that has nothing to do with compliance and everything to do with confidence. You were not born to be invisible. You were not put on this earth to be a shadow, to blend in, to silence your voice so that others can be comfortable. You were meant to take up space, to own your power, to live a life that is bold, unapologetic, and true to who you are. The world does not belong to those who wait for approval. It belongs to those who create their own destiny. It belongs to those who dare to say, I am here and I will not be ignored. Look around. The greatest names in history, the ones who changed the game, who rewrote the rules, who shattered limitations, none of them were compliant. None of them played it safe. They were fearless, they were bold, and they refused to shrink themselves to fit into a box. They stood tall even when the world told them to kneel. They walked forward even when doors were slammed in their faces. They refused to be ordinary because they knew they were born for something greater. And so are you. Confidence is not arrogance. It is power. It is knowing who you are and refusing to let the world tell you otherwise. It is walking into a room and owning it. Not with words, but with presence. It is speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. It is daring to stand alone if it means standing for something real. It is looking rejection in the eye and saying, you will not break me, I will rise again. Some people will try to dim your light because they are afraid of how brightly you shine. They will call you too much, too loud, too ambitious, too bold. Let them talk. The lion does not lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. You were not born to seek approval from those who do not understand your fire. You were born to set the world ablaze. Do not waste your time explaining yourself to those who refuse to listen. Do not lower your standards to make others feel comfortable. Do not silence your voice to keep the peace. Because the moment you stop living for others, the moment you stop apologizing for who you are, that is the moment you become truly free. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. No one will hand you greatness, you must take it. No one will give you permission to live boldly, you must claim it. You do not need validation, you do not need acceptance, and you do not need to fit into someone else's version of who you should be. Stand tall, speak your truth, walk in your power. Because the world does not respect those who comply, it respects those who own who they are without apology. This is your time. This is your moment. And the only question left is, will you rise or will you stay silent?